Hi everyone, my name is Hannah Verissimo. I'm a senior product designer on the release stage group at GitLab. And this video is part of the baselines and recommendations initiative OKR for our UX department. I will be documenting the existing experience, friction points, the number of steps, and the overall workflow for using Auto DevOps in an existing project in GitLab. This job to be done is part of the CI/CD department and spans the release, verify, and configure stage groups. I have documented experience within these issues here, and I will be walking through this click-through video illustrating my documented findings. And while doing that, I gave emotional grades, being positive, neutral, or negative, to each of the tasks in this job to be done. After giving those grades, I gave an overall benchmark score to the job to be done. Those can be from A to F, and they are based on the frustrations, tasks, completions, and the steps to accomplish the overall task. So cool, let's jump into the flow. As a user, I have some criteria for my job to be done. I'd like to use GitLab.com. I want to use a GCP cluster, a template app from GitLab, and I don't want to deal with any database migration. So my job to be done is that when I have an existing project without CI/CD configuration, I want to use Auto DevOps so that I can use modern DevOps workflows on my project with minimal effort. So here on GitLab.com, I have set up a project using the Node.js Express template. This project, as you can see, does not have any CI/CD configuration just yet. And it's interesting to note that the experience can vary a lot based on having an existing project or having to create a new one from scratch. So yeah, the first step here is finding where I can start using Auto DevOps. And since I just recently created this project, I landed on this specific page, which is the home page of the project, and it really caught my attention, those button-like elements here on screen. I can enable Auto DevOps, I can add a Kubernetes cluster, and I can set up CI/CD. Since this is my first time, I'm not quite sure which one I should click first, but I believe it should be enable Auto DevOps since it's positioned here on the first, before Kubernetes and set up CI/CD. I don't see any indication of what this would do, but it's pretty much self-explanatory. So I'm going to click on Enable Auto DevOps. All right, so I'll end here on this settings page, and it says that Auto DevOps will automatically build, test, and deploy your application based on predefined continuous integration and delivery configuration. I can learn more about Auto DevOps. I'm going to go ahead and set default to Auto DevOps pipeline. This banner here says that I must add Kubernetes cluster integration, so that my deployment strategy works. All right, it still seems like I can save these changes, so I'm going to save. And yeah, I think that's saved, it's successful. Let's see those two banners here. Pipelines were successfully updated, and a new pipeline has been created for the pipelines page. Yeah, but since I know that I still need some Kubernetes integration, I'm gonna go here on more information and see what this is all about. I like to follow the documentation because sometimes there are some things in this process that can be quite tricky. And I see here a link to a quick start guide. Yeah, I'm gonna get started by following this guide. Getting started with Auto DevOps. The first step, it says that I have to configure my Google account before creating. I need a Google Cloud Platform account. I don't have one, so I can sign up, follow the steps, etc., etc. Create a new project from a template. I don't need to do that. I already created mine. Yeah, I already did this. And right, create a Kubernetes cluster from GitLab. One thing I can already see here is that these screenshots are outdated. This doesn't really reflect the current interface of the product. So it makes me think, okay, is this documentation trustworthy? Can I trust this documentation? Is it gonna help me configure everything? Yeah, okay, so on the project's landing page, click the button labeled Add Kubernetes Cluster. I can also do this via Operation Kubernetes. I'm gonna go to the home page and click on Add Kubernetes Cluster. All right, going back here, it tells me to choose Create on Google Kubernetes Engine and sign in with Google. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't really see those two options here. I think the interface completely changed. But I can sign in with Google. I'm already signed in, and I can create a new cluster. I'm gonna give a name to my cluster here, and let me see if I need to follow any specific steps. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna name my cluster like this, job to CCD, GitLab internal, and zone. Okay, I want to learn more about zones because this sounds like time zones, and I'm pretty sure that this is not the case. Regions and zones, all right. Locations. Let's see where I am. I'm in the Netherlands, so mine should probably be this one, Europe 4 West, zones A, B, C. And go back here, Europe West 4, A, B, C. All right. It's interesting, I just saw that here it's called zone, but in the table, it's actually the region. So yeah, just a small detail. Can be confusing at times. Yeah, I gave a name to my cluster. I set up the number of nodes. This I don't want to change. Let me see if the documentation says anything specific. Instruction. I don't choose the machine type. I don't want to change this. I saw that GitLab already pre-populated this information, so I trust GitLab with these settings. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit create Kubernetes cluster. All right, Kubernetes is creating my cluster on Google Kubernetes engine. Okay, it's loading. This might take some time. In the meantime, I'm gonna go have a look on console.cloud. Let's see. Let's see if I can find my cluster. I call this already Simon, which is yes, it's here. All right, cool. It's being created. So I'm going to just go back to GitLab and see how that goes. It's taking some time. Not sure how much time this will take, to be honest. Well, let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, it seems it was created. Let's go back to GitLab. Oh, yeah, it's awesome. Cool. My cluster was created, and now I can configure a bunch of things here. Let me go back to configure it to the settings. So it says the next step is to install some applications on my cluster so that I can take full advantage of Auto DevOps. I have to install Helm, Ingress, and Prometheus. Once again, the screenshots seem pretty outdated. I don't think the workflow changed that much, so let's try and do that. I have to first install Helm. So yeah, I like the fact that I can see this loading state here. It gives me a good sense that it's installing, that I should just, sit down, relax, and wait. Cool. I can now install the other ones. I'm gonna start with Ingress, and I also need to install Prometheus, so let's see how that goes. Nice. Now it's loading something else. Ingress endpoint. it's nice that I can see this alert here. I can check my quotas on Google Kubernetes Engine if it's taking a long time. It's nice to have some indication of why things take so long to load. Prometheus is installed. That's awesome. It's taking a while. Let's check here for more information. Oh, I don't need to do anything. It loaded. So let me close this tab, and I'm given it's an IP address. I can copy it. It's cool. And let's see what the next step is. After ingress is installed, wait a few seconds and copy the IP address that is displayed, which we will use in the next step when enabling Auto DevOps. Awesome. So next step, navigate to Settings, CI/CD, Auto DevOps, and select Enable Auto DevOps. I already did that, so I'm not gonna go to that page. Let's select the continuous development strategy. I already did. Click Save Changes. It says that I have to add my base domain on that one page, but I don't think I saw anything like that. Let's check. Auto DevOps. Yeah. Once again, I think the documentation is a bit outdated. This step is no longer under CI/CD Auto DevOps, so this needs to go. The screenshots also show a complete different UI. I'm gonna go back to the previous page because I saw something similar. Domain, I think it's the same. It's base domain and domain. So I'm gonna go ahead and add this right here. Actually, let me copy this because I can use this as a custom domain, and I'm gonna save my changes. Nice. I can already see some data about the usage of my cluster. That's super cool. And the settings were updated. So I'm gonna go back to the guide. I hope the next step will take me to the right place. So I completed the stages, and I can go to CI/CD pipelines to see my pipeline running. All right. So CI/CD pipelines on the menu. Nice, my two pipelines, pass and run. So let's go back here. It says that I should see the pipeline running. Not really. My pipeline finished 7 minutes ago. So I don't know exactly what happened, if there was a difference on the order that I decided to follow, that if I need to follow specific setup in the tutorial, because I started with enabling Auto DevOps first and then creating my cluster. So let's assume good intention here and run the pipeline. Oh, okay, that's surprising. I thought that this would immediately run a new pipeline, but apparently I have to select for which branch I want to run. This makes sense, but I only have master. I don't have any variables, and I don't want to touch this, so I'm just gonna click run pipeline. Yeah, all right, let's see. Cool. Oh yeah, there you go, my pipeline's running. Now I have not only build and test, but I also have production and performance. That's awesome. So this might take some time. All those steps, I know they require some time to finish, so I'm going to back to documentation and see what are the next steps. It explains here each stage, and Awesome. The URL for the deployed application can be found under the environments page, where I can also monitor my application. Monitoring, you can go and check that. And it says here, yeah, I can do a lot of things. I can check the status and deployment, but first I want to see the deployment. This will take a while, so yeah, let's wait. Let me check what's happening here inside each job. It will test for code quality, container scanning, dependency scanning, license management. All right. It's nice that I don't have to configure anything manually. And I don't have to create a GitLab CI YAML file. I'm really happy with the results so far. There's a total of 9 jobs for master, and oh yeah, build, passed, cool. So all these have started, they're all running in parallel. And then I'm really interested in production. I want to see my application. So let's wait until those are done. Now I have a security tab. Oops, a bit difficult to hover on this and see the information. Nice, I can learn more about vulnerabilities. That's super cool. It analyzes the codes for security, and I can see this information in merge request. Since I don't have any merge requests created just yet, I'm not gonna go through this part of the workflow. I'm gonna go back to the pipelines view. Awesome. This is really on the task that you have no idea how long it's gonna take. Let me see what I can learn from the quick start guide. After deploying, I can check for the environment, and it says that the environments I'll be able to see the deployed application. I have those icons here. One will open the URL. The other one's a small graph for metrics. Prometheus collects data to cluster, and the third icon is a web terminal. That's awesome. I can do everything on the GitLab. I don't have to go and leave it to see the status of my environment and anything like that. It says that right below there is a deploy board where squares will represent the pods and my Kubernetes clusters. Nice. Really interesting. Let's go back. Oh, another one has passed. Code quality is the last one. Awesome, it passed. So our production is running. Awesome. Production passed. So now I can go to my environments and see if my application is deployed. So under operation environment, right, just like what the quick setup guide showcase. So here I can see my environment, production, let us commit, it's updated 10 minutes ago, my one pod here, deployment 100% complete, and I'm really interested in seeing the live environment. So let's see how that looks like. That's super simple but awesome. This was easy. Yeah, nice. So here's my application. It's working. And now I can check for monitoring and redeploy the environment. I can also decide to stop it, but I don't want to do that. Let's check on monitoring. It's waiting for performance data. Oh, there you go. Awesome. It really shows all sorts of information. I don't have a lot of data here since I just created this cluster, but you can see that it works. It's fetching data. All right. So going back to the experience baseline issue, I gave this a C, an average. The workflow is not the craziest thing at this point, but I think it needs improvement. There's still some back and forth between different areas of the product before a user can continue to finish the task. And I felt like some parts of the task took longer to complete. So for example, I'm waiting for my clusters to be created, I'm waiting for my environment to run. And at parts, I felt a bit frustrated, especially when it comes to the documentation. This video really followed the happy path of the workflow of this experience. But when I initially tried to set up this project for the documentation of this issue, I used a Ruby on Rails template, and that didn't work because the Ruby on Rails has already some bugs that are not fixed, and it's just impossible to run Auto DevOps with it. And it was really interesting to note that the quick start guide with the screenshots itself, let me go back up here. Yes, cool. So they suggest and they show that whoever took screenshots of this used a Ruby on Rails project, and at this point it's just impossible to do that. So I had more troubles with the documentation per se than with the setup, with the steps. But once that was solved, once I knew that at this point I cannot use the Ruby on Rails template for a project that I intend to use Auto DevOps with, I was able to finish the process. And to finalize, I successfully completed the task, but with some unnecessary steps. So as I say, change of context back and forth between docs and different product areas, and the task, it took some average complexity to complete. I really feel like you need domain, technical domain of what those things are, what the cluster are, or how to set up GCK, getting permissions, etc., etc. I already had all those permissions before starting, so it ran pretty smoothly. But if I had to set this up, this job to be done would take much more than an hour to finish. So if you're doing this for the first time, it can be pretty time consuming and it can be somewhat frustrating. So yeah, hopefully we'll see more improvements in the upcoming milestones, and I'm looking forward to see the results and the new the recommendations for improving Auto DevOps in a new project. Thank you very much.